retroactive check-in from counting down 88 and 87 days because I did not film anything. Day 88 was Thursday, September 19th, the day of my grandmother's funeral or celebration of life at White Rock Pier. The day was emotional. The day was heavy, but it was also really great. We started off the morning just going into the lawyer's office, reading her will, me crying tears of things that I was not aware I had tears to cry for. Then we went to the pier, met up with my family, and we tossed flowers into the water. It was beautiful. Everyone took turns sharing what they thought about my grandmother, the things that they learned from her, the fact that she had no filter and wanted people to know all that was in her brain, even if it wasn't socially allowed, like giving my cousin her first sex talk on a public train. My grandmother lived during a time where it wasn't okay to be a single mom, let alone be a woman seeking a career and trying to up-level her life. My dad made sure to point out that she often had her life compartmentalized, a pattern myself that I hold as well, where certain people in my life get certain parts of me, and they very rarely intersect. After her ceremony, we went back to her apartment and finished loading all of her things into family vehicles. We loaded my dad's truck with what he was taking home. We loaded antique furniture into my cousin's trucks as well. We did loads to the garbage dump. We met up with donation spaces like the Salvation Army, women's shelters, churches for the food. It felt good to donate things versus throw them away like we did with my mom's parents. There was just too much stuff to wait for people to come grab, even though we wanted to get them for free. So we threw it all away. Mind you, we did keep some of my grandparents' furniture and whatnot, just like we did with my dad's mom, but something felt better about donating it all. Come Friday morning, it was time for me to head back to Montreal. My dad already on his way to make it back north. I made it to the airport. I hung out. I sat on my computer for a moment, but not too long, before boarding the plane. And then I sat on my plane enjoying gate-to-gate Wi-Fi, as you do through Porter flights, and tried to enjoy myself. I didn't bother to start journaling as I would normally on the plane because I didn't want to burst out into tears and not be able to hold myself. So I just distracted every part of me, engaging on Facebook comments and social media, because where I wasn't really appropriate for me to feel all of my feelings in the moment. This is the funny thing, right? We always talk about you need to feel it to heal it, but we don't talk about the appropriateness of some of these practices. And don't get me wrong, I'm one of the very first people to tell you that we should be doing some of our practices in public. In fact, I have a podcast episode that if you want to go check out, I highly recommend that you do. But there is a truth to deep emotional processing, and processing grief and newfound wounds of generational inheritance is a lot. And it's not something that you want to begin to open in the middle of an economy seat on an airplane, thousands of miles in the air. But there is like a certain appropriateness to it that you don't want to lean into. So nonetheless, I did what any ordinary person would do, and I distracted myself from it. And then we landed on the tarmac. 45 minutes later, we finally got to deboard our plane, not without me freaking out because I really had to pee. We deboarded the plane. I waited for my cab. I came home and I took my dog for a walk. I was zapped, but I couldn't be zapped for too long because the next morning I would have a 2-day women's conference called As She Rises, a conference that was gifted to me from my accountant. And I'm so grateful that I accepted to go to there. So if you want to learn more about that, you'll have to stay tuned for my next video where I share about my experience, the things that I've learned. And despite this 100-day challenge not going as I would have preferred, the reality is life changes as life changes. So when I ask myself, what could change in 100 days of my deliberate attention on it, the question is also asking of me, what change am I going to notice? What changes am I reflecting on in my embodiment, in my presence, and how I'm showing up to my life, even when life is complicated and hard? And with day 86 and day 85, I'm noticing some big changes that are well worth it.